Thank you. Better that I warn you beforehand and not then go, right, we're recording, you've all laid down. So now actually going to start seated tonight. So if you can remain in an upright position, and I'm going to give you the option of either cross-legged or wide leg if that's more comfortable for you. If, like me, you haven't done anything for a couple of weeks, then you might find that wide leg is a little bit more accessible. Oh, my screen seems a little bit tipped back. I'll probably have to stand up and adjust this part way because I think we'll be standing at one point. So come to the most comfortable seated position for you, whether that's wide leg, cross leg. If you've crossed your legs, just take a note of which foot is in front of the other, because we will at some point just switch over and do the opposite side. So I don't want you to get too hung up on perfecting your posture here. Just notice that if you allow the weight of your head and the weight of your chest to pull you forward, it kind of tends to constrict the belly, and it means that we've not got as much space for that deep belly breath. So without thinking too much about it, just create a little bit of space, lifting the shoulders, rolling the shoulders back, feeling that connection through the sit bones, and then maybe just taking your upper body weight from one side to the other. So we're just kind of loosening, releasing any tension in the spine, the back of the neck, allowing the head to follow. And then bring yourself back again to center. On the next inhalation, squeeze the shoulders up towards the ears. Then as you exhale, just shrug and let the full weight of the shoulders go. Inhale to squeeze the shoulders up. Exhale, shrug and let the shoulders go. A little more control now as we lift the shoulders, draw the shoulders back, pull them together, and then feel as though you're almost leaning back into the flats of the shoulder blades. So you might get a sense that the weight of the rib cage is lifting off the belly. Rest the hands to the inside of the thighs, palms turned up. Then gently close the eyes or soften your gaze. Unclench the jaw, softening the tongue in the well of the mouth. And start to bring your awareness to the breath. So unless you've been practicing on your own, if you've had a gap over the last couple of weeks, you might find that your breath is a little rapid, a little shallow. So remind yourself to slow the breath down, to deepen the inhalation, to lengthen the exhalation. To allow the breath to travel a little deeper from the tip of the nose along the nasal passages, over the throat center, feeling that expansion into the lungs and the rib cage. Really paying attention to slowing the breath down, creating space through the wide muscles of the back, and starting to notice that every out breath is a release. Soften those shoulders, allow the jaw to become heavier. I always think of every in-breath as lifting and lengthening out of the sit bones. Every out-breath a reminder to release the shoulders, let the upper body relax. Now reposition your hands onto the belly. Just place the hands either one on top of the other or one above the other. And let's direct the breath all the way down to the palms of the hands. So you want to actually feel that expansion in the belly, almost as though the hands are being pushed away. Then as you exhale, that full release. Inhaling deeply to the belly, exhaling fully. Inhaling deeply to the belly, the chest and the collarbones. Exhaling fully from the collarbones, the chest and the belly last. Try to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, filtering the breath on the way in pushing out tension on the way out. Breathing in through the nose, switches on the parasympathetic system, takes us out of that fight or flight mode, coming into rest and digest. One further deep breath in through the nose, a slightly noisier breath out through the mouth. Now let the breath drift its way back to a natural, easy rhythm. If you chose to close the eyes, take a moment to blink the eyes open. And replace the hands, this time onto the knees, so just in front of the thighs. It's almost as though you're taking hold of the knees, keeping those knees relaxed, the inner thighs wide. Then as you exhale, engage the core, drawing the tummy button in. As you inhale, lift and open through the collarbones. Exhale, let's exaggerate that a little more. As you draw the tummy button in round the spine towards the back of the room, tuck the chin towards the chest. Then as you inhale, drive the sternum forward. Lift your gaze up towards the ceiling. Exhale, rounding through the spine, nodding the chin to the chest. Inhaling, lifting the sternum forward, releasing any tension in the neck. One more time to round through the spine. Inhale to give that big release. Then on the out breath, let's come back into a relaxed position, lining up the back of the head with the back of the tailbone. And at this point, if you've chosen to cross your legs, let's switch the leg cross over so that we have the opposite foot in front or behind. So again, we're placing the hands just above the knees, so on the inner thighs. Palms can either be up or down. It doesn't matter so much on this side. We'll wiggle the fingers and wiggle the toes. Now again, I'm just going to start taking the body weight from one side to the other. You kind of feel as though you're lifting through one hip, then the other, finding a little bit of space at the side of the waist into the side of the rib cage. Then again, we're allowing the head to follow. So we're nice and soft, nice and released through the spine. Then return again to center. Keep those shoulders relaxed back and down. Keep the eyes open as you follow your gaze over the right shoulder. Try to ensure the underside of the chin is parallel to the floor. Then on the next inhale, lift and lengthen again out the sit bones and draw the shoulder blades together. On the out breath, gently nod the chin down towards the shoulder. Then trace the line of the collarbone, drawing the chin all the way from right to left. Taking that gaze over the left shoulder. Again, a moment to realign, lifting on the inhale, drawing the shoulders together on the exhale, lowering the chin down towards the shoulder and tracing that line back to center. We're going to take a moment to leave the weight of the head here. So you might notice that kind of slightly releases any tension remaining between the shoulder blades. Then on the out breath, engage the core. Important to make sure we've supported the lower back. Then inhale to lift the weight of the head. Now we'll take the hands away from the lower back. We'll away from the knees, bring them behind the lower back. Shoulder blades again drawn together. So avoid, as soon as you get into this position, of using your chin to find a little bit of focus. Keep the chin parallel to the floor. Then draw the hands away from the lower back, opening through the chest. As you exhale, release and bring the hands back again to the lower back. Separate the hands, reposition them either side of the hips. Keep the shoulders where they are, so the shoulders don't lift. As you inhale, lift the sternum. Then exhale, engage the core. On the next inhale, slide the right hand away. Lift that left hand up to look to the middle finger. Then on the out breath, sink that right elbow in towards the waist and release and open through that left side of the rib cage. Inhale to lift back to center. Extend, open again. Then on the out breath, release. Inhale to lengthen through the side. Then on the out breath, keep the core engaged, come back again to center. Reposition that right hand behind the right hip, bring left hand to right knee, lift up and lengthen, then come into a twist here. Remember, we're trying to bring the side of the rib cage towards the back of the room, so this isn't necessarily about looking over your shoulder. Engage the core, and then we'll lift both hands up. We'll bring the hands up to bring to a Y shape, pressing through the fingertips, softening the shoulders down away from the ears. And we'll slide the palms together, creating a gentle Anjali Mudra. So fingertips touching, the base of the palm touching, but notice there's a little gap between the fingers. We're not doing the Lord's Prayer. Press through the fingertips and lengthen through here. Keep those shoulders released back and down. Exhale to engage the core. On the out breath, keep that core engagement. Slide the hands back again to heart center. Then let's reach right hand to left knee, left hand behind the hip, and come into the gentle twist on this side. Shoulder blades drawn together. This time on the exhale, keep the hands low. Draw the shoulders back to face forward. Reposition the hands in front of the ankles. We'll use an inhale to lift and lengthen and an exhale to fold forward. So because we've started in a seated position, usually I do this sequence on your more comfortable leg. So notice if there's any tension in the ankle. Notice if this feels a little bit uncomfortable either in the hip or in the hamstrings that are connecting into that space at the back of the leg. And just work through your comfortable range of movement to bring the elbows a little closer towards the floor, keeping the shoulder blades drawn together. Bring your gaze to the end of the fingertips, slide the shoulder blades together, engage the core, push into the palms and walk the hands back again towards the ankles. Reposition the hands behind the hips, both hands. It might be that you can't quite get palms to the floor, so it's okay to have fingertips touching. Just try not to lean into the fingertips. Draw the shoulder blades together, lift the sternum and draw the gaze up towards the ceiling. On the out breath, you can allow that gaze to rest forward once more. And it's your choice whether you repeat that opening through the chest and look up, or if you want to create a little more space through the front of the body. If the ankles will allow, press the shins forward, lift the bottom from the floor, widen through the chest. Come into a deeper release through the hip flexors, the inner thighs, the tops of the thighs. As you exhale, release, replace the sit bones on the floor. Inhale to come back to center. And we'll come out of the leg cross now. So those of you who've been in a wide leg, bring the soles of the feet together. And again, you can choose how tight you want to make this angle. So either have the heels a little further away to give you a little space in the knees, or draw the heels closer if you want to intensify the movement in and around the hips. On the out breath, let those knees widen, create space for yourself. On the in breath, lift up out of the sit bones. On the exhale, without pulling on the feet, start to nudge your upper body weight forward. Remember, this is ideally a diagonal. So it's not necessarily about getting your head down. It's about finding that length from the back of the head to the tailbone. Then engaging the core, inhaling to lift and come back to center. Let's extend that left leg wide. So we're going to keep the left toe pointing up, bringing the sole of the right foot to the inner thigh, lifting up and lengthening out of the sit bones, repositioning the hands in front of the ankle. Inhale to lift, exhale to fold forward. So this fold forward, you're likely to feel this through the back of the hamstring, a little bit into the back of the calf. If you can feel it in the knee, give your knee a little lift. We don't want to be pulling too far into the back of the knee joint. With every out breath, just finding a little more space, a little more release. Bring the gaze to the end of the fingertips, engage the core, walk the hands back again towards the ankle, and we'll simply switch over and do the same fold on the opposite side. So right leg wide, toe pointing up. Remember, that keeps that inner thigh switched on. Then as you exhale, Take that little walk forward. It's going to feel different on one side than the other. And although we've had a little gap, so we feel a bit tighter anyway, recognize that we've also not started in a supine position tonight. We've gone straight into these folds, so they are going to feel a little bit tighter. Then on the out breath, engage and walk the hands back again towards the ankle. Let's bring both feet together once more. So back to that Baddha Konasana, back to creating that line from the back of the head to the tailbone, taking hold of the right foot, pushing through the heel. So the telltale here is that we don't want to be kind of beveling the spine, pushing the spine to the back of the room. So keep that rib cage lifted up off of the belly, or in my case, off the muffin top. These screens are not kind, are they? Then bring that foot back in. Take the opposite foot away. And remember, it's your choice whether the hand is relaxed or if you use that opposite arm to just help your balance a little bit. Sometimes when we extend the leg, we feel ourselves being pulled over. So that extended arm can help to manage that. Then bring that foot back in. And if you feel brave in the zone, let's have both heels. And remember, this is going to be much more pleasant because you're in a carpeted surface. It's not quite so hard as rolling back on that wooden floor. It's like, no, when you've won your money, you're like, nope, that's it now. Bring the soles of the feet together. Lift up and lengthen. One more time to ease forward. It's less tight than it was the first time. Still a little bit of resistance, perhaps. Just gently work through that edge. Then as you exhale, engage the core. As you inhale, lift back again to center. Perfect. So remember this shape. We're going to come into all fours now, but we're going to keep those knees wide. So to remember the shape, bring the toes together, keep the knees wide, bring the wrists underneath the shoulders. And then as you sink down, you want to feel the elbows are directly underneath the shoulders. We don't want them too far down here. So get yourself nice and balanced. Bring the tips of the thumbs together, then push the sit bones back towards the heels. So this might flag up for you any resistance in the knee joints. It might show you there's a little bit of resistance in the hips. So just work into this shape. So kind of moving the hips from one side to the other, lifting the tailbone, pushing the sit bones back to lengthen the inner thighs. There's a lovely moment if you tuck the tailbone under, you kind of get that extra release in the lower back. I want to see if we can work through this, hold this for long enough that we might be able to get the forehead towards the floor. Comfortably resting the forehead on the floor. Just allowing that space in the lower back to release, to release, to release, letting go. Then push down again into the forearms as you lift your head. Slide the wrists back under the shoulders. Lift back up into an all fours position. Reset the knees underneath the hips. Keep the toes turned under. So we've got that little lift underneath the tops of the feet. Exhale, draw the tummy button in, roll up through the spine and try to direct that roll into the lower back. Remember, it's easy to lift the space between the shoulder blades. It's a little bit more challenging to get that curve in the lower back. Keep pushing the tailbone down towards the knees, nod the chin towards the chest. Then relax onto the tops of the feet as you reverse that curve, lifting the sternum forward. So the lower back releases, open the chest forward, pressing into the palms so that we're wide through the collarbones. Then exhale, roll up through the spine, nodding the chin to the chest again. Then coming back again to that neutral spine position. Rest once more on the tops of the feet. Make sure that those wrists again are underneath the shoulders. And we're just going to keep that little bit of play in the elbows. So with that little bit of play in the elbows, let's take the hips over to the right side. So you're kind of transferring your weight. Then bring your body weight back to center. Take the hips over to the left. Now transition from right to left. Again, kind of pushing towards those boundaries, those edges when the body tells you, actually, that's quite a big stretch. Let's not go too far. Come back again to center. And let's change that shape. Let's almost draw like a figure of 8 with the hips, pushing the sit bones back, drawing that figure of 8 forward. So we're really getting some space, some warmth, some fluidity into the space around the hips, into the pelvis. Coming back again to center. Once more, turning the toes under, rolling up through the spine. Then relaxing back to that neutral spine position. Resting on the tops of the feet as you take the right foot back, turn the toe under. Nice long stretch through the calf. Just play around with the depth of stretch that you need here. You can't overdo this one. Then bring that knee back in, take the opposite foot back, nice long stretch on that side. Bring that foot back in. Then extend the hands forward. Walk the hands forward so that you create a diagonal. And again, we're going to push the sit bones back. The difference this time is that the knees remain directly underneath the hips. So that creates more of a linear stretch rather than that inside wide leg stretch. If you keep the weight of your hands stuck to the floor, you get a deeper release through the side of the rib cage into the underarms. Try to position the ears between the upper arms. Then inhale to lift the fingertips, pressing the wrists to the floor. Then we're going to replace that right hand. Keep the right hand in place as you thread the left arm under, bringing that ear, that shoulder to the floor, rotating to bring that right side of the rib cage up towards the ceiling. Then push into the right hand. We'll switch over, we'll do the same twist on the opposite side. The intention here is to open into that side of the rib cage, so just give it a little nudge. Then again, extend both arms forward. Push the sit bones back, one further long child's pose stretch. Then lower the elbows to the floor, slide the chest forward, slide the thighs back. Coming into a nice low position. So elbows underneath the shoulders, palms are on the floor, tips of the thumbs could be together, shoulder blades drawn together, inhaling to lift the chest. Then on the out breath, turn and look over one shoulder. Inhale to look forward. Exhale over the other shoulder. Inhale again to look forward. Then on the out breath, lower down. Create a little bit of space there, repositioning the hands either side of the chest, drawing the elbows in. Push down into the palms, inhale to lift the chest, remembering that you know your own limitation. If this is too much for your lower back, you might prefer to stay on the elbows into that Sphinx pose. Keep widening through the chest. Keep drawing the elbows in towards the rib cage. It's good practice for that, for when we do things like the chaturanga. Then on the out breath, engage the core, push the sit bones back, come back again into that long child's pose. Let's lift back up into an all fours position, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. And again, we'll go back into that cat stretch. We can't do enough releasing and loosening in the lower back. Then back to that nice neutral spine position, keeping the toes turned under as you push the sit bones back, lift the knees and flip the heels towards the floor. So I always remind you that this doesn't particularly look or feel graceful, but if we're able to get the heels down, keeping the knees bent, we get the benefit of that extra stretch at the back of the heel, quite a difficult area to get into. We're looking for a nice diagonal line through the arms, through the length of the spine. So we don't want curve. We want tailbone lifted, pushing the sit bones to the back of the room. Then bend the knees, sit back on the heels. I'm going to ask you to take your hands either side of the ankles, and we're going to let the weight of the head come all the way forward. It might be that you can get your forehead to the floor. It might be that you're just a little bit way off. Don't worry about that. Just let the weight of your head lengthen the spine, soften the shoulders. Then reposition the hands under the shoulders, push into the palms, lift up again into that all fours position. So from here, I'm going to do this the reverse to you. So I'm going to bring my left leg forward. It's easier for you to see if I do it this way. So we've got one leg forward, knee bent. Just remember which leg you start on because we will get confused. And I want you to allow that left knee to be in a 90-degree angle, but we've got so much play happening in this back thigh that you might be quite an obtuse angle on this back knee. Ideally, we don't want this back knee at 90 degrees. It's not going to be good. We want to get our weight off of that knee joint. So bring the hands to an Anjali Mudra in front of the chest. And again, remind yourself the shoulders are released back and down. Keep the core engaged. Inhale to lift the arms up, overhead. Ears between the upper arms. Lift your gaze up towards the thumbs. Keep your balance here. If you're starting to feel that your balance is a little bit on the edge, then you can look forward. If you feel that you can take it a bit further, keep looking up towards the thumbs, draw the arms back, open the sternum, and come into like a half moon shape here. Then as you exhale, engage the core, bring the hands back again to heart, hinge forward, and we'll simply switch over to the opposite side. So we're taking, in my case, left leg back, right leg forward, and coming into that 90-degree angle on this side. Beautiful. It's always worth checking that the hips remain underneath the shoulders. Notice if one of your shoulders has shot, one of your hips shot forward. Generally, that means the knee is leading its way in. So keep that nice alignment. Bring the hands again in front of the heart. Inhale to lift the arms up. So same idea on this side. You find your balance, you find that still point. You can lift the gaze to the thumbs, that might be enough. Or you can lift the sternum and ease back. Keep lifting through the chest. If you try to just bend the lower back, it will crunch. Then bring the hands back again to chest level, lovely. Hinge forward, turn that back to under, lift that knee up, and then we're just going to strike that foot in. I didn't want to headbutt that bench in front of me there. I decided that I best stand up a little bit. So we're in a nice soft folded forward position. I'll always remind you that in this case, I always have my knees bent because I'm not very flexible on the hamstrings. So let the weight of your belly, of your rib cage come onto the thighs, tuck the chin under. Let the hands just hang. So you're really like, this posture is sometimes called the ragdoll posture. So if you can imagine that you're just slumping forward, feeling again that length in the spine. Then bringing the hands onto the thighs. Exhaling, engaging the core. Keep looking at the toes, rolling up through the spine. Rolling the shoulders back and down. Coming back into the camera shot because I've gone well out. Let's bring our gaze forward because we've been forward folded, so we might be a bit dizzy. Then when you're happy that you're in that posture, bring the hands together. Shoulder blades drawn together. So we did this earlier seated, and I reminded you that at this point we don't need to compensate. So keep that lovely line. Then slide the arms away from the lower back, opening through the chest, keeping the core engaged. Then on the out breath, release, bring the hands back and separate. Inhale to squeeze the shoulders up. Exhale to release and let the shoulders go. Squeeze the shoulders up, a little more control as you roll the shoulders back. Turning this into drawing circles with the shoulders. Then bending the elbows, bringing the hands onto the shoulders, using the elbows to widen those circles. Bringing the arms down by your side, then inhaling to lift both arms up overhead. Sweeping the right arm forward 3 times. Sweeping the left arm forward 3 times. Then bring the right arm forward as you take the left arm back. The shoulders should remain directly above the hips. Then as soon as your brain's figured that out, switch over. Do the same on the opposite side. So left arm forward, right arm back. Then bring both arms overhead. Take hold now using the right hand of the left wrist. Lengthen that left wrist up. So you've started a little bit of an opening to the side of the rib cage. Then we'll step the left foot behind the right. Keep yourself anchored. Then squeeze over into a stretch here. Turn and tuck the chin into that armpit. Then inhale to lift back to center. Unfold that stretch. Then take the opposite foot behind, opposite hand to opposite wrist. Lengthen. Then on the out breath, ease into the stretch. Then inhale again to lift. Come back to center. Beautiful. Unstep again. Bring the hands back down by your side. Squeeze the shoulders up. Then exhale to release and let the shoulders go. We're going to come into a hug now. So I'm going to bring the right arm to the top of the left. So that right hand's rested on that left shoulder. Again, we're going to mobilize the neck. So turn the gaze over the right shoulder. Bring the gaze back to center. Take the gaze over the left shoulder. And once more, come back again to center. Separate the arms. So arm cross on the opposite shoulder. Rather than looking over the shoulder this time, we're nodding the right ear towards the right shoulder. So the shoulder doesn't need to lift, let the weight of the head do the work. Come back to center, then nod the left ear over towards that shoulder. Come back again to center, and then nod the chin down towards the chest. And we get that just slightly deeper lift, that stretch just underneath the shoulder blades. Then engage the core, inhale to lift, come back to center and separate the arms down by your side. Perfect. So make sure you've got enough space. We're going to do some standing postures tonight. I kind of wanted to make sure that the shoulders were loose enough, that the hips were loose enough. Got a little bit of space in the inner thighs. We're going to start in the warrior 2 position. So if you turn the right toe, and you want to bring the inside of that foot to be parallel to the edge of your mat. Now, I always take my left foot and strike it a lot further back. I don't like my feet too close together. And I'm kind of using that left foot as a bit of a, like a stopper. So if this was a T shape, the front foot would be that bottom end of the T, and the back foot would be the top end of the T, and the heel would be halfway in line with the back foot. Place the hands on the hips because I want you to feel the position of your hips. Naturally, the hips will drift towards the direction that you're traveling in. So have a little bit of softness in that front knee and use the hands to bring the hips so that you can feel the hips directly underneath the shoulders. That will intensify the stretch in the inner thigh. And we're not going to borrow too much from this front knee. We don't want to be any more than a 90-degree angle. So for me, I'm happy that I'm far enough into this. Now slide the arms up. You notionally want to feel the wrist over both ankles. So that back ankle, back wrist in a straight line, same on the front. So we don't want to be leaning the upper body weight forward. That would take that wrist too far forward. We want to be in center. As you exhale, let's see if we can nudge that left hip back a little more. And let's perhaps notice if we can roll the right knee over the second toe. Quite often that front knee collapses in. So you don't need to travel forward, you just need to be in the position. Lovely. Now sink the left hand down into that space just above that left hip. So you're kind of pushing into the lower back a little. Lift the arm up, the front arm up, look up towards the middle finger. Then as you exhale, keep bringing that right arm forward. Bring the forearm to rest on the top of the thigh. Then lift the left arm up and create a diagonal line again from middle finger all the way down to the heel. So in this posture, to perfect it, we want to gently roll the rib cage, pulling again that left hip back. So we're nice and open through the front of the chest. Perfect. So now we'll practice this with the breath and with a little bit of more pace to it. So inhale, we're lifting up, right arm comes up, looking up to the middle finger. As you exhale, you sink forward, but you remember to keep that rib cage open. Inhale, lifting up, exhale, sinking forward. Inhale, lifting up, exhale, sinking forward. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. One more set. Inhale, exhale. Then as we get to the bottom of that exhale, let's add another inhale in to again rotate the rib cage, looking up towards that middle finger. We'll just hold that posture. Press through the fingertip, lengthen through the side of the rib cage. Then inhale, lift, come back to center. Create a straight leg with that front leg. Then turn that toe forward. Let's take the opposite toe away. So we shouldn't need to move the feet. We should still have the heel halfway in line with the back foot. We should have that little bit of play on the front knee, pulling now the right hip back so that the shoulders are directly above the hips. A little bit more play on the front knee so that that knee is over the second toe. Beautiful. And again, we'll start with the updraft, so the in breath. So right hand to the back of the hip, in breath to look up. Then as you exhale, you're bringing that forearm onto the thigh. Remember that little rotation to open the side of the rib cage up. So inhale, lifting up. Exhale, hinging forward. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, hinging forward. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Two more. Focus on the breath. Final set. Then again, we're just going to hold an extra moment here at the bottom of that exhale, rotating the side of the rib cage, feeling the ear to the side of the inside of the upper arm. Then this time as you lift up, we're not straightening up, so you're keeping that front knee bent, lifting the body weight back to center, opening the arms, and we'll take that warrior two to the left side. So the knee should still be rolled over the second toe, that right hip opening back. You'll feel it when you've got it right because it intensifies the stretch to the inner thigh. The jaw is soft. And ideally you're creating a straight line from fingertip to fingertip. It's not unusual to have like the back arm can drop. So nice and lifted, wrists in alignment with shoulders. And when you're ready, engage the core. Float the arms down first, bring the gaze back to center, push into that left leg, turn the toes to face forward. We'll keep the feet wide, keep the knees slack, place the hands onto the hips, and come into a 90-degree angle. So there's a whole load of information comes back here. The top of the thighs, the inner thighs, a little bit of the small of the back, in and around the hips. So work with the breath to ideally get to a length where you can feel the back of the head is on the same alignment as the back of the tailbone, but the shoulder blades are drawn together. Just have your gaze towards the floor, the jaw again soft. Then as you take your hands away from the hips, bring your fingertips towards the floor. Walk the hands a little further forward. Place the palms onto the floor. Keep looking down at the fingertips. Start breathing the elbows back towards the floor. All the while, the heels remain rooted. You can borrow from the knees, but let's not cheat ourselves of the benefits. Let's see what would happen if we lifted the tailbone a little, pushed the backs of the thighs towards the back of the room, all the while easing those elbows down. Then bring the gaze again to the end of the fingertips. Keep the core engaged. Walk the hands back a little bit closer now, so palms underneath the shoulders. Taking a bigger bend in the knees and just transferring your upper body weight. So we have a big bend on the right knee, but we're keeping our body weight in center. Then taking a big bend on the left knee, you'll feel a big stretch to the inner thigh. So again, we're swinging over to the right, big stretch to the inside of the left thigh, swinging over to the left, big stretch. Back again to center. And then see if we've maybe got a little bit more space now. If you find that the backs of your legs are really, really unhappy, take the hands a little further forward. It stops that tension on the backs of the thighs. You don't want to be so far forward that you're lifting your heels. So find the perfect sweet spot. And then see if you maybe want to bring your elbows to the floor. Maybe you're comfortable enough to bring the top of your head to the floor. All the while, the heels are down, back of the neck is soft. Then depending on the version that you have got to for yourself, we're going to take our time to come back out of this. So whether you've got head to the floor or elbows down or wrists down, make sure that you feel stable. So come back up to a position where you feel that you've got the wrists under the shoulders, that you're still looking down towards the floor. Keep that core engaged. Walk the hands a little closer again. And then I'm going to suggest that you move the feet a little closer together. So heel toeing them together is the easiest way. I like a big bend in the knees here. I think it works really well. Then bring the hands onto the thighs. Keep looking down. Keep looking down at the floor. Then push into the thighs. And then slowly start to lift yourself up. Keep looking down, because when you lift your head, that's when you feel dizzy. And when you're ready, lift the head. And notice that the insides of the feet are still parallel, so the toes are facing forward. Lovely. Let's keep those heels connected to the floor as we change the toe position. So we're turning the toes out now, a bit like a plie if we were doing ballet. What do they call this? Second position? Third position? I have no idea. I wish I'd paid attention in class. Now soften the knees. The knees will want to follow the line of the feet, but for those of us who are tight, what tends to happen is the knees draw in. So let's imagine that we're spreading the inner thighs like butter. So spread them wide. Feel the knees over the ankles, reaching those knees out towards the second toes. Toes remain nice and soft. Underside of the thighs parallel to the floor. So if you have a visual reference, if you're looking at yourself on a screen, if you have a sofa behind you, if you have a bed behind you, then you want to bring your bottom down so that you're practically sitting on that straight line. Beautiful. Now just bring the hands to an Anjali Mudra. That way I know that you're not clenching. So fingertips, base of the hands touching, little gap between the fingers. Jaw is soft, breath is steady, nothing hard yet. Lift the right heel. Beautiful. Press that heel to the floor. Lift the left. Press that heel to the floor. Lift both. Beautiful. Let's have both heels down. Push down into the soles of the feet. Lift up, come back to center. My thighs are on fire. It's good though, isn't it? Now widen the arms. When we widen the arms, we want to feel that the elbows are the same height as the shoulders. So again, it's that thing of you kind of get a little bit droopy. So let's not let the elbows relax. Let's keep them really wide. Palms facing towards the front of the room. And again, we're coming into that seated squat position. So widening the knees, coming down as low as you dare. Then inhale, lift up. We're going to continue that lift to bring the palms together overhead. Just try not to lock out the knees as you come up. Try to keep them soft. Yeah, perfect. Exhale now, come back down. Inhale, lift yourself up. So what I want you to do is not rush it. I want you to get into the rhythm of your breath. So that really deep, long, slow exhalation, sticking the tongue out on the way down, then inhaling back up to this position. So exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, hold it down. Please do breathe in when you get to the end of the exhalation. Don't hold your breath. Those elbows still up? I didn't think so. Shoulder blades drawn together, palms forward. Pushing into the soles of the feet, not using the toes. Then on the next inhale, push into the soles of the feet, lift the arms overhead. On the exhale, let's not bother bending the knees this time, just bring the hands back towards heart. Beautiful. Turn the toes to face forward. Reposition the hands onto the hips. As you exhale, hinge forward. 90-degree angle. Wow, isn't that so much easier than the first time we did it? Keep those knees soft. Lengthen the spine by pushing the top of the head forward, pushing the sit bones towards the back of the room. Bring the hands again to an interlock behind the lower back. So you're going to keep your chest parallel to the floor. As you lift the arms away from the lower back, keep looking down. If you look up, it's a bit weird on the neck. Then replace the hands, soften the knees, they may have locked. Push down into the soles of the feet, keep looking down. As you inhale to lift up, then step the feet together. Love it when the legs are singing. You know, when your thighs are going, yes, I've done something, I'm alive. Oh, I'm laughing here because my cat's literally at the window going, why are you not letting me in? She loves it when I'm in here practicing and I leave the window open because she jumps in, then she comes over to the computer and she'll go, oh, who have you got on Zoom then? And then she cries to get back out again. So I'm not letting her in because she'll just bomb us. We don't want that. So hands again either side of the hips, knees nice and soft. Lifting the right knee now. Knee as high as the hip. Oops. Underside of the foot parallel to the floor. Clearly dehydrated today. Finding that point on the horizon. So remember, looking down can give you a sensation that you're tumbling forward. So horizon point is good. Point the right toe. Bring it back to flexion. Then bring it through flexion to what we call dorsiflexion. So bringing it all the way back towards the shin. So pointing all the way forward, then drawing all the way back. So you're kind of exaggerating that point and flex. I'll do it side on so you can see it. So you're pointing all the way forward, all the way back. Lovely. Then come back to the 90-degree angle and now draw little circles with that toe. Change direction, take the circles the opposite way. Beautiful, a bit Highland fling going on here. Then replace that foot to the floor. Get yourself grounded again, find that focal point. Make sure you haven't sped the breath up. We often hold the breath in balance, so come back into that natural rhythm and then lift the opposite knee. So you're starting again in balance. And I should say that at any point, if you feel more natural to be here, to find that central line of energy, you can obviously move your hands. This is just the easiest one for equal balance. So you're doing the point and the flex, the point and the flex, and then you're coming all the way through dorsiflexion. So you're bringing that toe right up towards. So opposite way, beautiful. It's a really extreme, beautiful for the calf. Nice for stretching out the soles of the feet as well. Then bring the underside of the foot parallel to the floor. Draw 3 circles in. Then take 3 circles the opposite way. And again, come back to center, moment of balance. Then replace that foot to the floor. Lovely. Stay soft in the knees. Bring the hands again to the hips. So the last fold that we did, the feet were wide. We're now mindful that the heels are directly underneath the hips. So when we come into a 90-degree angle, we can't borrow from the inner thighs. It's all the hamstrings, a little bit into the calves. Don't want to feel it in the back of the knees, so keep them soft. Push the sit bones to the back of the room, extend the sternum forward. Beautiful. And again, I'm just going to encourage you to pause here. Mind your breath here. Sometimes we move quite quickly through postures and you kind of lose the magic moment. The magic moment comes at that point where it's a bit kind of like, it's long enough for me now. That's when the magic happens. Then wrap the hands around the elbows. So the function of this is that you're using the weight of the upper arms to bring you forward in a diagonal rather than curving the spine. So forearms parallel to the floor. You might want to tuck the chin under. It helps that weight. Kind of feels like a pendulum when you're this far forward. I feel a much deeper lift now at the top of the hamstrings at what we call the insertion point. We're just hanging forward. And if we take that idea of a pendulum on, we'll take our upper body weight to the right. We'll come back to center, take it to the left. So we're kind of swinging from one side to the other. This doesn't cause us any trouble in the lower back if we do it right. The key is to remain really soft, not to use the lower back to lift. We're just hanging. Then come back to center. Reposition the hands onto the thighs. Let's find our focus now in front of the feet and keep the focus down on the floor. Push into the thighs, roll up through the spine. Keep looking down. Roll the shoulders back. And then when you lift the head, find that focal point again on the horizon, back of the head lining up with the heels. Inhaling to squeeze the shoulders up. Then as you exhale, shrug the shoulders down. Perfect. So I want to do one last thing before I lie you down. And you're going to love it, but I'm just going to get you to go straight into it. So come into all fours. And again, I'm just going to say take your right foot back. But this time, instead of the stretch, keep the toe turned under. Step the left foot back. Come into a plank. So remember, our planks are more effective if we can find that diagonal line from the shoulder through the hip to the heel. Every now and again, you might need to just bend the knees to the floor if you're getting a bit tired. But let's try to keep the faith. Wide through the collarbones, engaged through the core. So focus on your breath here. And then I want to remind you of that exercise that we did. We haven't done it for a couple of months, where we kind of bring a little bit of tension into the plank. So feel as though you're firstly drawing the hips together, drawing the tummy button in towards the spine, lifting the kneecaps up towards the hips, widening through the collarbones, shortening, contracting almost those bicep muscles, so the upper arms holding you strong, nodding the chin towards the chest, never holding the breath. Then on the out breath, lower down, knees, chest, chin, bottom up. Inhale to lift the chest, then release back. Have a moment in child's pose. If your wrists feel a little achy because you've been doing the plank and holding your body weight up, pop them either side of the ankles. Draw little circles with the wrists. Then bring yourself back up into an all fours position. Again, we're going to take that right foot back. I'm not going to trick you this time. Slide the right foot out to draw like an arc, if you like, a sort of semicircle. Then we're going to come behind the left foot and we're just going to stretch that foot as far as it goes. So it kind of feels into the side of the hip. So arc it out one way, bring it back the other way. Then bring that right knee in. Do the same on the other side. So start with the easy version, leading out to the side, and come over the back of the foot to get the stretch at the side of the hip. Back out again. One more time to release the side of the hip. Back again to center. So both knees underneath the hips, wrists under shoulders, elbows soft. Turn both toes under. Exhale, draw the tummy button in, roll up through the spine. Nod the chin to the chest. Then release yourself back to a neutral spine position. And when you feel ready, just transition over into a supine position, preparing for our final Shavasana. So it feels as if it's got a little bit warmer tonight. It was quite chilly today. So if you feel that you might need a layer, now's a good time to grab a blanket or a fleece, pop some socks on. You want to be comfortable rather than distracted. So because our sort of final sequence there was that plank sequence, obviously what that's doing is promoting strength. It's encouraging us to use our body weight to hold ourselves up. But realistically, it's quite challenging. It feels quite cardiovascular as well. So you might notice that your breath's a little bit more rapid than it normally would be. So take your time to slow the breath down. Notice once more where you're holding tension. It may be that you need to bend the knees to release the lower back. Or you might find that rather than clenching and holding on, you might feel more comfortable to widen the hands and the feet, equal distance from the midline of the body. And I quite like that image of everything rolling out from center. So as the wrists become heavy, the palms roll out. As the legs become heavy, the toes roll out. And you get that sense that all of the weight is just spreading and widening through the back of the rib cage, through the front of the chest. And there's a real sense of letting go. So in much of what we've done this evening, we've been quite precise. We've been quite focused on engaging, on positioning. This is now about releasing that control, allowing the weight of your bones to sink a little more deeply into the earth beneath you. Feeling the tongue rest in the well of the mouth rather than stuck to the roof of the mouth. That comfortable gap between the lips. Tuning in once more to the pace of your breath. Deepening the inhalation. Lengthening the exhalation. Observing without judgment. If there's any resistance to that deep breath. If there's any little bumps in the road on the exhale. Give yourself permission to unclench. Think of every in-breath recharging your batteries. Every out-breath permission to release tension. Sometimes we don't even realize that we're holding tension in the body. Sometimes that tension, that stress can manifest for you as either pain, limitation, or perhaps just a sensation. You're holding a part of your body a little tighter than the rest. Send the breath to any part of the body that may be asking for a little extra attention. Lighting up that part of the body. Then as you exhale, softening the edges, releasing the grip. Inhaling deeply to nourish and energize. Exhaling fully to cleanse and relax. Recharging your batteries. Sending positive energy through the full length of your body. Re-energizing every cell. Every out-breath. Feel the weight of your body sinking a little more deeply into the earth. Further you allow yourself to release, to sink into the earth, the more you'll notice that sense of coolness, a sensation of feeling grounded. If you've chosen to take your palms up towards the ceiling, just take a moment to turn the palms down towards the floor. Place your palms on the floor. Feel that cooling energy drawing you down in towards the earth. Take a further deep breath in through the nose. Slightly noisier breath out through the mouth. Deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. A further deep breath in, releasing this time with an audible sigh. And then just allow your breath to drift back to a natural, easy rhythm. Become aware that although your body feels very heavy, very grounded, every in-breath returns a sense of lightness to your body. Send that inhalation to the fingers, wiggle the fingers, stretch the fingers wide. Send that next inhalation to the toes, wriggling the toes, mobilizing the feet, rotating the wrists. If you wish, taking a long stretch through the body, reawakening through the heart space, lengthening through the spine, pointing through fingers and toes. If you prefer, hug the knees to the chest, holding that positive energy in center, releasing tension through the lower back, across the sacrum. Then as you return to center, replace the feet to the floor and take your time to roll to one side. If you felt warm tonight, if you feel a little dizzy, choose your left side and just pause there for a moment, blinking the eyes open. Then return again to a comfortable seated position. Now bring your hands to an Anjali Mudra. Touch to the head for kind thoughts. To the lips with kind words, and to the heart with kind intentions. The light in me honours the light in you. Namaste. Beautiful girls. Let me stop the recording.